Hey everyone, my name is Hassi and I would like to welcome you all to the AAUT ceremony. I've had the pleasure of organizing this year's event alongside with Lisa Foster, our support officer. And now I would like to invite Professor Jessica Vanderlely to deliver the acknowledgement of country and officially open the ceremony. Professor Vanderlely is the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic at Deakin University, where she provides strategic leadership of the education and employability plan and institutional programs that develop and deliver an outstanding experience for students and foster a culture of academic educational excellence. Over to you, Jessica.
Welcome, everybody. It's lovely to see you all today. Thank you for making the time to join us. I would like to start today's proceedings by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the unceded lands, skies, and waterways on which we are coming together today. Acknowledge the land, skies, and waterways and traditional custodians who care for the land that you live, study, work, and care for in your own places. We here at Deakin recognise the elders of Wadawurrung country, Eastern Maar country and Wurundjeri country as the traditional custodians of the lands where we support learning and teaching. We extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and I would personally like to pay my respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome you to Deakin Downtown today for this important event in our region's learning and teaching calendar. I'd like to welcome colleagues, senior colleagues, Professor Laura Ann Bull from Swinburne University, Professor Shana Spittle from La Trobe University, and Professor Sherman Young, who could forget Sherman, from RMIT University, for making the time today to be here, but also for your continued support and leadership of learning and teaching in this sector. The Australian Awards for University Teaching celebrate exceptional educators who have demonstrated an unwavering commitment to improving teaching and the student experience in higher education. These awards honour individuals and teams who inspire, innovate and lead both inside and beyond the classroom. This year's recipients exemplify excellence in teaching and have made significant contributions to enhancing the learning for students across Australia. I would like to share my heartfelt congratulations to all of the recipients here today and those who could not be with us today to accept their awards. You have made a lasting impact on students and your work is shaping the future of higher education in this country. Your achievements serve as an inspiration for other educators within your institutions and across the sector. But this is just one of many ways that your impact as leaders in higher education can and should be recognised. So in 2024, you'll see from the screen, Australian universities submitted 145 nominations across 4 categories. We had 64 successful applications in total, and the standards for these awards are always very high. Each application is considered through a rigorous 3-stage assessment process that involves peer review and consideration by sector leaders in teaching and learning. We are incredibly grateful to all of the assessors who generously volunteer their time to consider with great care each application. I would also like to personally thank and extend the thanks from every assessor to Angela Carbone and Angeline Sims and all of the staff who support the awards process. It is a massive undertaking and we wouldn't be able to recognise the excellence in learning and teaching without the outstanding leadership of yours, Angela, and the dedication of your team. So I really appreciate it. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank award committee chairs. These outstanding individuals shouldn't be strangers to anyone in this room. It speaks to the calibre of the awards that each of these individuals continue to dedicate their time to supporting the process. We'd like to thank Emeritus Professor Elizabeth Johnson, who chaired the citation panel, Professor David Sadler, who chaired the Program Awards, Emeritus Professor Pip Patterson, who chaired the Teaching Awards panel, and the effervescent Professor Sally Kift, who chaired the Career Achievement Award panel. Now, before we move on to the awarding of our recipients today, I would like to extend a challenge to each and every one of you. Now, receiving a citation and award for university teaching was a highlight in my own personal career. And it really was the kickstart that I needed to be able to take a passion for learning and teaching and to think about how those ideas could really start to do things differently and make an impact for not only my students, but my discipline and now as a leader in higher education. So I would ask you to consider what boundaries you can continue to push in your practice and how you can continue to bring a student focus, which was something that comes through in each and every application. It's part of the reason why you receive your awards, because you can demonstrate just how student-centered and focused you are. But how can you bring that student focus into the work that you do and the influence that you have on your peers? I'd ask you to consider how you can step even further into your role as a learning and teaching leader. And yes, you are learning and teaching leaders, even if you don't see yourself as that at this point. I firmly believe that this sector needs more outstanding teachers in leadership roles. So how can you support your colleagues to overcome challenges in their teaching? How can you collaborate more deeply on scholarship of learning and teaching within your university or across the sector? How could you influence your school or your discipline to be more contemporary in their practice, acknowledging that that is sometimes difficult to do? And are there opportunities for you to connect and contribute at an institutional level or even at a national level? As a DVCA, I am always on the lookout for passionate educators who have big ideas, who are willing to collaborate and help us to do the things that we need to do to make education outstanding here at Deakin, but also more widely across the sector. So don't feel like you need to hide yourself away and continue to do only the good work that you do in teaching. There is a big opportunity for you to contribute more widely than just the classroom environments within which you work. And if my career shows anything, it's that a passionate educator who's prepared to collaborate and connect with other people can have a successful career off the back of learning and teaching. You don't need to only be a researcher to be able to be successful in this sector. Thank you so very much for your time today again, and for your continued support of the awards, encouraging each of our successful recipients today to share what you learnt about the process to support others to develop their confidence to continue to apply good practice, but also to apply for awards to allow us to recognise the outstanding teaching that happens across this sector. Thank you so very much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Jessica. So it is a great honor for me to introduce this year's award winners, and as Jessica presents the certificates. In cases where recipient is unable to attend, we will make sure to post the certificates to them if it is an individual award, and if it is a team award, we would just hand it to one of the attending team members, and that would be great if you could pass it on to your colleagues. If for any reason you are not able to do that, that's all right. We will make arrangements to post them just after the ceremony ourselves. So I will start with Associate Professor Viet Tran from the University of Tasmania, award for creating innovative, authentic, and transformative learning experiences in the field of medicine with an emphasis on critical thinking and care of the critically ill patient. And he is not available, but yeah, we will make sure to post it to him. The next one is Dr. Sophie Mackenzie from Deakin University, award for enhancing IT students' professional readiness and career outcomes through career development learning. Welcome.
In nice and close and the award that way. Yep. Go. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
DBS Will Consultancy Team from Deakin University, Dr. Wayne Reed, Associate Professor Christine Contesato, Dr. Wade Halvorson, and Mr. Pete Williams. And that also, their team award for excellence is in developing innovative will consultancy units that inspire students to learn, enhance students' graduate employability skills, and support not-for-profits and small to medium enterprises.
Yeah. It's not just yours, Christine. Discuss that later. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next one is Tertiary Preparation Program from La Trobe University. Associate Professor Emmeline Bexley, Dr. Yelena Medan, Dr. Dean Dart, Ms. Hayley May, Dr. Mohammed Al-Bayer, Dr. Zoe Thomas, and Dr. Belinda Angelo. For Team Award for innovation in student-centered learning through the asynchronous delivery of its multidisciplinary university pathway program. Thank you. Do you have anybody? Yes, Sharna, yes, great.
Always wanted to give you an award. I'm mostly beautiful. Gorgeous, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Betty Exintalis from Monash University, award for transforming the first-year pharmacy student learning experience through inclusive practice inside and outside the classroom.
And just tilt it.
Wonderful. The next one is Dr. Hua Tian Ang from RMIT University, award for pioneering innovative EPIC principles, enabling students to master in-demand T-shaped engineering skills and the community to build engineering interest, addressing Australia's engineering skills crisis. Thank you. Disruptive Technologies in Business Education from RMIT University, Dr. Victor Ariti, Professor Gillian Vesti, Associate Professor Meredith Sarapos, Team Award for Innovative Curriculum Architecture using academically and industry-informed disruptive digital pedagogy to empower graduates with critical professional skills and capabilities needed in the contemporary workplace. Dr. Justin Batten from RMIT University, Award for creatively and innovatively designing and implementing authentic assessments in a creative arts course, which jointly promoted academic integrity and improved student learning outcomes.
Shake hands like real people. There you go. It's already an envelope.
It's already an envelope.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Show the envelope.
Yeah, because that's because they told us that they are not attending and they wanted it posted.
Sharon just wanted
Thank
to-
you.
Want to be in the photo.
Yes, wonderful.
It's all right. We'll make you one, Sharon.
Live Local, Think Global, Associate from RMIT University, Associate Professor Marco DeSisto, Dr. Ying Zhou, Dr. Christopher Conroy, Ms. Hang Pham, Mr. Jonathan Kwa, Dr. Yung Woo Han, Team Award for developing an inclusive learning ecosystem that values each culture while fostering global HRM mindsets to enhance student experience across RMIT's international campuses.
Great to be nice and close and just take a tiny little step forward and we tilt. So I'm sorry, Mum, can we pop it in? Okay, so you come in and each hand goes on the award. Because it's all of your awards. Are you comfortable if that hand goes around this gentleman? Are you comfortable that?
But don't touch it.
Beautiful, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Feish Kwa from Swinburne University of Technology, Award for empowering health science students to thrive in work-integrated learning through crafting a professional identity and scaffolded industry engagement.
And we tilt. We know that. Yep, and we tilt. Amazing.
Thank you. Dr. Jessica McElprank and Dr. James Williams from Swinburne University of Technology, Team Award for Excellence in the Design, Implementation, and Evaluation of an Innovative Assessment to cultivate digital literacy and visual communication skills among undergraduate health psychology students.
Beautiful. Orders, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Yonhua Xiao from Swinburne University of Technology, Award for transforming health science students' learning with an innovative human anatomy curriculum and multi-model digital learning combined with educator professional development activities. Thank you. Dr. Laura Dooley from the University of Melbourne, award for creating an active, student-centered learning environment that fosters collaboration and adaptive problem solving to equip veterinary students for lifelong learning. Here. And our program award for transforming the first-year pharmacy student learning experience through inclusive practice inside and outside of the classroom. Program Team Award for Curriculum Transformation and Innovative Pedagogy, a comprehensive instructional model to develop a transformed pharmacy degree. Associate Professor Daniel Malone, Dr. Betty Exintaris, Professor Carl Kirkpatrick, Professor Joseph Nicolazzo, Associate Professor Stephen Walker, Professor Kirsty Galbraith, Dr. Sao Wu, Professor Paul White, Dr. Suzanne Calip, and Mr. Simon Furletti. Thank you.
Beautiful. So come forward a little bit. Great. Forward. Go a bit sideways. Come forward. Hand on the award because he's trying to pretend I wish you won. Okay. And just tilt it a little bit. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. We will now move into our panel session where we will hear directly from some of this year's awardees. And I'd like to invite our panelists to please come forward and take a seat at the front. The panelists are Dr. Hua Kian Ang, Associate Professor Marco De Sisto, Dr. Jessica McElfrank, Dr. Faith Kwa, Dr. Yunhao Xiao, and Dr. Betty Exintaris. The session will be chaired by Professor Lynn Riddle. She is the Deputy Dean and Associate Dean Teaching and Learning, who brings extensive experience in academic leadership and a strong commitment to teaching excellence. Over to you, Lynn. Sure.
I also want to add my hearty congratulations to you all. It's wonderful to have this event here at Deakin Downtown. I think it's probably safe to say none of us set out to design our teaching and learning environment and thinking, cracker, this is going to get me an award. But when the magic comes together, it is really important to stop and pause and celebrate together because our jobs are demanding. We run from one teaching event to the next teaching event, but stopping and pausing and sharing with each other and saying we're doing great work and we're doing work that really matters, not only to ourselves and our own development, but those of the students that we're working with. So congrats to you all. So we now have a few minutes with each of our wonderful award winners, a selection of whom there are many in this room. So we're going to invite each of them in turn to share maybe 2 or 3 minutes around their inspirations, what they've learned, what's inspired them. We'll have some opportunity for some Q&A at the end. So listen intently, get your questions ready, and we'll have a couple of minutes at the end. So I'm first going to invite Dr. Hua Tang Ang to talk about something that's relevant to you, that's meaningful to you.
Sure, thank you. My name is Hua Qian Ang. Many also know me as Vivian. It's a real honor to be here today to speak about my teaching journey, but also to learn from everyone here. I have been teaching mechanical engineering at RMIT University since 2014. And over the years of my teaching, I have seen students struggle with complex engineering topics. And very often they resort to memorization just to pass the exam. And we all know that rote learning, it's boring, knowledge just doesn't stick, and students lose interest. So at some point in my teaching, I started to think, how do I improve or make engineering learning easier for the students and also to inspire them. And then that is when I came across a famous quote, which is often attributed to Albert Einstein, which I'm sure you have heard of it. It says that if you cannot explain something simply, you do not understand it well enough. So that really resonated with me. So I started to think, how do I inspire student learning? How do I make it easier? For example, asking students to explain their understanding or what they learned using visuals such as comics, infographics, animation. So this is what I do in class right now. I ask students to pick a topic in their class, explain it not in an essay form, but using comics. What I've seen is that we see better engagement, more student participation, and students also become more confident to speak in class, and there is more humor in the class as well. So that really was, we created an Epic Engineering comic series. So if you just Google Epic, EPIC, Engineering Comic, is a free website that currently houses engineering comic series and is available free for everyone online. I guess the main objective is, of course, to inspire and enhance student learning, but more importantly, to improve public understanding of engineering. And hopefully with Epic Engineering Comic, we are able to inspire the young people, especially young females, to consider engineering as a career, because we know that women are significantly underrepresented. I mean, I could go on for hours, but that's basically the summary of my work. If you think that comics can help in your teaching, I'd love to connect and collaborate. Thank you.
I've been told from over here, but I don't have a microphone, so hopefully you can hear me, but it won't pick up. Thank you, Vivian. That was a great overview, and I really love the idea of comics and artistry in something that can often be seen as mathematically driven. So to bring in that creativity in is wonderful. So thank you so much for sharing. And we'll have opportunities for a few quick questions, as I said, at the end. So we're going to move on now to Associate Professor Marco De Sistos to share your thoughts and reflections.
Thank you. I don't know, like sitting with the microphone in my hand, being Italian, I feel like a prisoner. Like I can't express myself. But anyway, I try my best. So my name is Marco, and I'm associate professor at MIT. I used to teach HRM, which is the subject that we present at the National Award. So human resource management. I currently teach MBA and EMBA program as a business consulting capstone and wheel subject. I always believe in wheel subjects anyway. What happened? Like I think I started 2018 when RMIT sent me to Singapore, because my subject is offered in Singapore, in Vietnam, and in Melbourne. So I went to Singapore, and then I realized that I got this massive class with all these students, super prepared. Like they print out all the slides already the first day. They don't ask any question. They just staring at you. And then at the end of the class, when you say, okay, thanks God it's finished, I can leave, you have a long queue of students that wants to ask individual question, right? And this question is always the same. Like the first student, second student, they have the same question, but they want to ask you privately. And I didn't realize why I'm doing all this. So then after a while, I got the learning lesson, right? Like the lesson for me. Students in Singapore don't ask in public because they are afraid that you don't know the answer. And if you don't know the answer, they feel embarrassed because they make you look bad. And then what happened to me if the teacher looks bad, right? Like, so if I ask privately and the teacher doesn't know, like, it's okay, it's between us. Like I will not share with any other peers, right? So like, I said, okay. So I started doing something a little bit bold, right? Like I went there first day, next semester. First day I went there and I prepared a list of questions for myself that I don't know the answer. So, and I start reading this question in the class. So I said, okay, I tell you, I got 10 questions that I don't know the answer. So don't ask me these questions because I will learn about these questions. But any other question that you have, I know the answer. So you can ask me. And then the second thing, of course, they did ask question anyway, but at least they laugh, right? And then the second thing is I stopped the slides, like no slides. And I said, okay, today we don't use even one slide. And they say, how can we do the class? So we do the class by sharing our experiences. And this is where, especially for some cultures, it's very hard because they're not used to share experiences. And then you feel like more exposed, more vulnerable, like why I share my experience, why I share my embarrassing stories, right? Which I got so many. I can't entertain any class. So at the end, we start sharing this lived experience. And that's what I brought to any class. I don't want them to download the slides. I want them to share stories. And then the stories is where we learn from each other, right? And I always use this example. I studied full-time as a student at university, 16 years, to the point that my mom thought there was something wrong with my IQ, right? I say, why 16 years? You still don't get it. But the reality is, I was curious and I was thinking like a knowledge, like always more knowledge, right? And then I realized, you don't need to be the most expert in the class. You need to be the most human one, right? So you facilitate that kind of learning, emotional experience, journey. That's where we are good, or what we do, or should be good. Otherwise, and I'm glad that we have artificial intelligence now, because at least it's proved that we are not the most expert, right? You go AI, ask questions, knows everything. So what I'm better than AI is that human. I'm the human in the class, and I want to keep that thing. So if you ask me three words that I want students to say about my class, I want them to say is entertaining. So not just engaging. This is another word, engaging. I love engaging, but engaging without fun is nothing. So I want entertaining, not engagement alone. I want entertaining, I want inspiring, and I want real. Real means not theory, not just slides, but share what really happened to my life and what I do every day in the company, when I connect with them and bring in class, right? If you got these three, I think becomes unforgettable experience for students. That's probably all for now.
Thank you, Marco. What a wonderful example of how we learn from our students and your agility and your adaptability for different environments. We never stop learning, do we? We never stop being challenged how to connect with our students. So thank you. 16 years.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, our next awardee this afternoon, not quite this afternoon. No, we are this afternoon. Almost. This morning. Our next awardee this morning sharing their practice, Dr. Jessica McElprang. Over to you, please, to talk about what's inspired you and what your inspirations are in your teaching.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Lynn. It's a pleasure to be here. And I think it's quite a lucky opportunity that this day happened to coincide with a curriculum day. So my 6-year-old son in the back here, who is a little preppy in his first year of school, gets to be in a room with a lot of us who love school so much that we decided to find a way to never, ever leave. So the citation that my colleague James Williams and I were awarded was related to an innovative assessment that we developed in an undergraduate health psychology unit, in which students critically evaluate literature and then they take that literature on health risk or health protective behavior and they transform it into an infographic. And the goals, we really want them to deepen their critical thinking, build digital literacy skills, increase health communication. And as part of studying that, we conducted a pre-post evaluation. And one of the questions that we asked was, how do you feel as you think about creating an infographic in this unit? And a few students said, oh, excited, but most of them said things like nervous, anxious, apprehensive. One student said, terrified. Very, they were quite on edge about the idea of this, given that in psychology, we often tend to stick to more traditional assessments. And we asked the same question at the end. And most of the responses said things like excited, creative, inspired. But the most common response was proud. And oftentimes I think what it brought to mind to me is that oftentimes we think about our assessments and our teaching as ways just to move students toward achieving learning outcomes or developing competence in a particular area. But the responses to this question really reminded me that as educators, the way we engage students, the way we teach, the way we assess, and the way we choose to bring creativity, interaction, and engagement into the ways that we teach is offering something that is equally, if not more, important. We're in a really privileged position as educators to help students think beyond what they're studying and where they're going in their career, to also how do they think and feel about themselves. And that's something that I think is really moving and powerful about the role that we get to play.
Thank you, Jessica. What a wonderful story of transformation of your students too, and the bravery you take in the classroom to lead them through that journey, because it can be confronting for some and it needs to be structured really well. So to have done that safely and done that so well is a real testament to yourself and your colleagues with the work that you've done. And of course, that's what we bring, isn't it? As you were saying too, Marco, that's what AI doesn't bring. And this is what we need to bring out in our students too. What is the human element? Not just facts, not just knowledge, but what is the human element? And you sound like you've crafted that beautifully. So congratulations. And wonderful to have your family here celebrating with you. What a treat. Next, we're going to hear from Dr. Faith Kwan, who's going to share your thoughts and reflections. And you might.
Great. Thanks so much, Lynn. I'd like to also, first of all, like to say that thank you for my family for being here today, mom and dad and my husband. And also my wonderful colleagues from Swinburne as well. We have Laura Ann Bull, Ann Stowards, and also our Associate Dean of Education, and Amanda. Thank you very much for being here today to support all of us from Swinburne. So first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity to share. It is I'm deeply honored and grateful for this award, and I'd like to share a little bit about my journey that has brought me here today. So just to give you a bit of context, I'm the course director for the Bachelor of Health Science at Swinburne University. It has about approximately 1,000 students. And it's a relatively broad degree where there's no specific vocation. So a lot of times students lose sight of what is their professional purpose and identity that can be crafted from this whole journey with us at Swinburne. So I take inspiration, like Vivian, from a very famous person, Leonardo da Vinci, who once said that knowing is not enough, but being able to apply is important. Being able to actually be willing to do is not enough. We need to actually be able to take that to the next level and actually learn by doing. And so with this in mind as well, and to be able to try with the objective of trying to boost authenticity of the curriculum such that it actually enhances students' development of professional identity and purpose and work readiness, it was very important for me to then try to integrate work-integrated learning in a meaningful way for this course. Now, with 1,000 students, it's very difficult to secure a professional placement or an internship at a host organization. So what I decided to do was to bring partners onto campus instead of students going out. So the basis of my award application was actually about building the scaffold approach to industry engagement and work-integrated learning, where we have industry partners giving our students real research questions that are currently needs to be solved. Our students then actually go away and look at these questions. They perform a systematic review under the guidance of these partners, and they actually craft the answers to the research question. Based on the gaps in the field of the research has been identified, the students then draft a research proposal. So they do all of this in a second-year research methods unit. But the beauty of the model is that when after they've designed that study design, the research proposal, they have the opportunity to actually conduct that study that they have designed in the subsequent unit, which is the Health Sciences Project unit, under the guidance of the same industry partner. So in that regard, we have built this consecutive approach to a one-year learning experience with direct industry engagement on campus for students to build that competency related to research. And so I think what's really quite important is that our students have actually come and told me that they now have much clearer vision of what they want to actually pursue in further studies, but also in future career goals that's related to health. They become very clear about their vision, but also not only that, right? I've now able to actually, by bringing partners onto campus, I've narrowed that proximity between student learning and the authentic work experience. And our partners have actually, it was actually quite a bit of challenge to begin with, because at most universities, placements, internships at host organizations are organized by a central team. But for a non-placement based work integrated learning experience, the onus is on me. So I made that pretty bold move to say that for all my students, I'm going to count on my professional networks to find these partners to come onto campus. So we started off with a very humble, only one partner who was very generous with the time and came to the classes for both subjects across the year. And now, after 2 years later, we have grown to have 7 industry organizations. So I am very, very thankful for the generosity of these partners who come and volunteer their time to work with our students. And what I'm really proud to say is that some of them have used the research outputs from these students to generate data fact sheets for their organizations, but also at the same time, they have also used some of the research ideas and proposals to actually craft their grant applications, which they have told me, and also to direct the future research as well. So with that, I'll leave you with the fact that I'm really, really thankful. This has been a very, obviously very challenging journey, but very extremely rewarding, particularly when students actually tell me they got jobs by putting their one-year experience on their CVs and they were asked about it during the interviews. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Faith. And that's also such a fantastic model to make some opportunities that aren't available to all equity groups. You know, going out into placements, not often available to everybody. And for you to bring them onto campus, it's just fantastic to see, obviously, them knowing real world research and research that matters to health science, but being able to do that in a way that they can fit in with all of their other demands on them. Well done. Congratulations. It's great. Thank you. And our next speaker is Dr. Jinghua Xiao. Over to you to share your reflections, please.
Thank you very much. I'm deeply honored to be here with Laura Amble and Amanda, and my wonderful colleague here as the recipient of this award. So before coming here, I got sent questions, that points I need to cover. So make sure I cover. I wrote down some notes. So I'm deeply honored to receive the award. I think most important, it feels incredibly rewarding to be recognized not just for what we teach, but importantly, how we teach it. My professional journey in health education has been diverse. I began as a medical practitioner in women's health before moving into research academic, focusing on neurological diseases. And in 2013, I became a lecturer in topographic anatomy, teaching human structure and function to pre-medical and medical students. During these transitions, one constant has guided me is a passion for making complex knowledge accessible, practical, and engaging. Anatomy is a very ancient discipline, has been taught long using traditional, often rigid method, and student has been learning anatomy using through facts or landmarks, just through rote learning method. But when I joined Swinburne University in 2021, I saw an opportunity to reimagine this discipline for the digital age. So I established a digital anatomy curriculum. I introduced a bold shift, empowering students to not only study digital cadavers, but also to create their own digital models individually and collaboratively. And this wasn't just a new tool. I think this is a new mindset. Initially, I wondered, could students with no prior experience meaningfully engage in this process? So the answer was a resounding yes. They didn't just engage, they innovated, they collaborated, designed, and brought anatomy to life in ways that were innovative and conceptually rich. So if I were to summarize my teaching in one phrase, it would be education isn't static, neither should learning be. This innovation has done more than just increasing engagement. It has refined how anatomy is perceived and practiced in the classroom. So students began to see, I'm pleased to see students began to see anatomy as not just a rote memorization, but as a dynamic problem-solving discipline. Many of them since pursued interdisciplinary careers in health, medical technology, digital health, fields that thrive on adaptability and innovation. So my early career in research helped me to shape this mindset, to spot gaps, to challenge assumptions, and to explore how technology can elevate the learning experience. To early career researchers in the room and in our campus, I would say your skill set is broader than you think. Your diverse experience is your strength. Don't be afraid to bring all of them to your teaching. And if you ask my students describing my teaching in 3 words, I suspect they will say curious, empowering, and unconventional. So thank you very much for recognizing this, the value of challenge tradition and for celebrating what education can become when we dare to reimagine it. And together, I think we're shaping the future where digital learning is not just a supplement, but a catalyst for deeper and more meaningful education. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Xinghua, for that. That is just wonderful to hear that thread of unconventional coming through in your teaching. And I think that's what we challenge ourselves to do, isn't it? To shake it up and think about how to do it differently and to bring that digital environment into a very, human-based subject too is wonderful. Congratulations. Thank you. And our last speaker on our panel, before we go to questions from the audience, is Dr. Betty Ixentara. So Betty, over to you to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I ran away with the idea of thinking about my teaching using a song and decided to describe my journey as an educator in terms of 5 songs, mostly from the last century. I'm showing my age, but I've thrown in a few more songs in there so that I'm being a little bit more contemporary. My first song choice is Party Like It's 1999 by Prince. 1999 was the year I submitted my PhD and applied for and received my dream job of being an academic at the then Victorian College of Pharmacy, now Monash University. My second song is Anxiety by Doechii, which describes those first few years in academia. I initially felt quite overwhelmed at the thought of being in front of a large class, worrying about the questions that I would receive, not being able to answer them necessarily, controlling the class, etc., etc. I think that this is really common for early educators, and this is one of my motivations for supporting them, and that's a story for another day. After I got through those first few years, where at first I was afraid, I was petrified, I realized that I'd survived. So I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor is my third song choice. After I settled into teaching, I stopped thinking about the mechanics of teaching and started thinking about how I could make a difference both inside and outside the classroom. Don't Stop Me Now by Queen really describes this part of my journey, which really takes me to today. And my final song choice describes my more recent appointments as Associate Dean Learning and Teaching and Associate Dean Equity, Diversity and Inclusion. This Is What You Came For by Calvin Harris and Rihanna. Finally, for the Program Award, which is a team award, for the Reimagined Pharmacy degree, in the same vein, I have a song choice. It's Ain't No Mountain High Enough, because we really reached for the stars when we redesigned and redeveloped the new pharmacy degree, and it really was a dream team who contributed, some of who are in the audience today. Thank you to the past and previous course directors, Associate Professor Dan Malone, Professor Tina Brock, Nell Karunaratne, who's in the audience, who in those early years really supported the content development, Tao Vu, our wonderful senior ed designer, and of course, our Associate Dean Education and Deputy Dean, Professor Paul White, who's also in the audience today. And also like to congratulate the rest of the team as well. That's it from me.
It's alarming how well I connect to a lot of those song choices. Congratulations. And what a wonderful example of blending creativity, obviously, through all that you do and the collaboration that's necessary to make teaching a success. None of us sit here on our own. There are many people, and it's lovely to hear you shouting out to all of your colleagues here today and acknowledging their support too. So congratulations. Thank you all very much for sharing your thoughts and reflections. So different, but such common threads coming through as well, shaking it up, doing something different, being a bit unconventional, listening and responding to what the students in front of you need and are doing. And it's just a really great example of absolute excellence in teaching and learning. And as you've said, it's scary to start with, but we got here and you've excelled. So huge congratulations to everybody. Throwing it open for questions. Does anybody have something that they would like to ask?
In public.
In public? You can't come afterwards. It's now or never. Barbie.
Just a general question for the panel. Can you tell us what you've got from the process of going for an award like an AAUT award? Like how is going through the process of applying for award impacted on your practice?
Thank you, Barbie. I think going through the whole process is obviously very much a self-reflective journey. And reflecting upon not just, what is the main key takeaway from that pedagogical intervention, but looking at it as a journey, as mapping it out, what actually I've done every single year since I've got onto this, this role of curating that research methods unit. But now that I've got the award, I'm actually even much more proactive in thinking what's next. And so to link back again to the whole idea of crafting or empowering my students to craft their professional identity and purpose, which could be flexibly, could be changed as they evolve their careers, is to think about how do we actually better embed the idea of professional purpose in the curriculum. And that means like what Lynn was saying, that we are not going to work on our own on this, but we actually now including people from the wider university stakeholders, such as the Swinburne Careers team, to try to work with us closely within the health science degree, in my case, to actually try to get students to navigate through that flexible career journey while they are studying, not just thinking about it as an afterthought after they graduate. So I think the whole, in a nutshell, it's really about, okay, I've done this thing, it's great, we need to let it run its course to determine the long-term impact of that. But at the same time, what else can be done to potentiate that learning experience that students so crave for in terms of trying to search for their identity, particularly in a course like a very broad one like the health science?
So I found preparing the AAUT award is extremely helpful process. So in our school, we have a very structured process of how to prepare. We have school award, university award, teaching award, and also towards the National AAUT Award. But winning award is not just the end, it's actually the start. It's how you generalize and transfer your experience, your knowledge to your university and beyond. In my discipline, in the field of anatomy, in order to broaden or generalize the knowledge or the experience, I actually established a national digital anatomy network, bring all the peoples who working in the anatomy discipline who wish to modernize their curriculum together. So they find a home that we can provide professional development experience or programs to those educators who are needing to have an opportunity to upskill themselves. Thank you.
Of course, I agree with and endorse whatever has been said, and it is a useful process and it's a long process. You start probably testing with the school and then going up with the college and then the university. But I think there is a kind of misconception or misbehavior. Like sometimes, like I got lots of colleagues that comes to me and say, okay, what do I need to do to get this award, right? And then they start with the list, like a criteria of the award. And they say, okay, so I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this in class, right? So in a sense, the process goes backwards. So you start with what you need to do for the award, and then you go back to your practice. And I always say, like, to reach this point, it took me 4 years, right? Now, if I look at the criteria and then try to force the criteria into my class for 4 years, it's a nightmare. It's just a nightmare, like, because it's not me, right? I said, what we hear in this story, everyone is passionate about what we do, and regardless the award or not award, I didn't prepare the list in Singapore because I was thinking 2018, oh, I want to take the 2024 Australia University Award. Like, it's just what I believe. I believe that the teaching is, the journey for learning is you have to lose yourself. You have to feel lost. And that's that's a rule. Every hero, right? Every hero get lost, had a depression, and then comes back stronger, right? And in class, like a business consultant, the first time, like students always ask me, oh, Marco, I feel lost. I don't know what to do with this project, big project for the company. I said, good, you are learning. And they say, no, I'm not learning, I'm lost. That's where you learn. So the same for us. We need to have be brave and try something that you're passionate about, regardless the criteria of the award. And then once you try like many things that you're passionate about, maybe one of them gets to an award because it's got recognized, right? From students in first and then from your institution. So I say, try, be passionate.
I might say something as well. I agree with the first speaker in that it's been a wonderful reflective journey in song, and that I've really enjoyed putting the award together. And of course, the recognition is fantastic as well. And I also agree with the first speaker that this is the beginning, really. I think that part of the award was for supporting international student engagement together with my colleague Nell Karunaratne, who's in the audience. And I think we've done a fantastic job of supporting our international student learners. But there's always more that we can do for our international student learners. And we teach students. It's a very diverse audience, and also thinking about other students in the classroom and how we can also support them better. So altogether, it's been a wonderful experience. Thank you.
So applying for an AAUT wasn't even on my radar. My colleague and I thought, oh, well, maybe we should see if there's something here for a school award. And we've got really wonderful support at Swinburne. And I reached out to the fabulous Aunt Sowards, who said, oh, I think you might have an AAUT here. I said, well, what does that involve? And that really was the beginning of thinking more deeply about what we were doing, that reflective process, which is so rewarding. And I feel really lucky to be in this position right now. What I found that it's having me do now is actually be more vocal to my colleagues about acknowledging that I think they're doing really interesting things, and to see their work in a different way, and to sort of almost use this recognition as being able to help others see maybe the innovations that they're bringing to their work in a different way, because that's really what the process of engaging with Ant and getting feedback from Amanda in the process did for us.
Yep. Seeing I'm the last speaker, I'm just going to echo what everyone has already said. So it is a self-reflective journey. The entire process is very effective to help us organize and rethink what we have done, because normally we just do it without really, thinking about the impacts and all of that. So putting everything in writing, it helps you to go back and gather the evidence and really see the impacts of that. And recognition is, of course, very important, because when you do something, it's an action, it's not a tangible product. And having that certificate, holding it in your hand, you're turning the action into tangible product, something that you can show it to your friends and family. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you all very much. I welcome the reflections on the values that's come from you all for undertaking the application process, and clearly the success. And if you're not doing so already, I'm sure you're deeply engaged in mentoring the next wave of people coming through too, because that's carrying our legacy through in terms of what we are as educators, isn't it? Please invite you all to thank our panel members today for the conversation. And handing back to Barbie, I believe.
Just a second before I hand it over to Barbie. So I would like to make a special acknowledgement and thanks to everybody who's involved here, and Jessica just mentioned all of them, but I would like to mention Miss Angeline Sim and Miss Danielle Patterson. They've been very supportive and responsive to all the questions that we had to make this event happen. So thank you so much for being patient with me. Sometimes sending 10 emails in a day. And thank you so much to Lynn and our panelists for such an inspiring and thoughtful discussion. And I would like to invite Professor Barbie Panzer, our Director of Teaching Capability, to deliver the closing remarks.
Thank you, Hasti, and thank you, panel. You can. I'm only going to be 1 minute, so you may as well start. Yeah. The food's out there, so we just need to. How wonderful! What a great lot of stories there was. Were they fantastic? I'd like to. How about if our students are proud of their assessment tasks? I love that, Jessica. So beautiful. How about if our students are not just engaged, but entertained? Love that, Marco. And I also love that showing of your vulnerability. What a beautiful, beautiful story. How about if our students are more creative? I think beautiful ideas around creativity there. And how about we've got our students solving real problems in the real world? Faith, thank you for that. And Betty, thank you so much for thinking about how you can not just teach what you're teaching, but how you're teaching. I loved that phrase. I'm going to steal that. Thank you all. Thank you for the impact that you're making on our students here in higher ed in Australia. And congratulations, you have been recognised as nationally award-winning teachers. That means we in the sector think you're absolutely fabulous. So please take that and enjoy it. It's hard to get an AAUT award. And so really recognise how wonderful that is. And also, this is just the beginning. You are all excellent teachers. Go back and share. I certainly have learnt some things I'm going to try today from my teaching. Go back and share and help the next generation to be as good as you are. Just finally, thanks to Hasti for putting our day together today. She's done a wonderful job. And for our award winners, you know, we don't do these things in isolation. There's always the people around us that are supporting our work, and there are many of them in the room today. So if you are an award winner, if you put your hands together and say thank you to our families, our mentors, our DVCAs who have come along and supported our teaching along the way. So thank you.